Hey all, Jason Levon, priest at St. Luke's Episcopal Church in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Welcome to another Pause and Pray. It's okay to fall apart. Tacos fall apart and we still love them. Those words come from a meme shared by a friend of mine who loves tacos on social media. And while the meme is meant to elicit a chuckle, it also carries within it the wisdom that even in our brokenness, even in our having fallen apart, there's still something worth loving in us and in all of that. And from my vantage point as a priest, I wonder if there is something in the human spirit, deep within the human spirit, that really does trust that wisdom. That even when our lives have fallen apart, there's something worth loving in it all. That God is able to love something into goodness out of all of the brokenness. I say that because so often when people have a point of contact with a community of faith, it's precisely because they are falling apart and are reaching out because maybe they sense that there's something worth loving here. Even if I'm not sure how to love it or if I can't love it, maybe a community can and help me through all of this. When somebody comes to me and says, "Father, can we talk?" I've come to learn over my years of ministry two important truths that are implied in that question. The first is that most likely they are experiencing their lives falling apart, and they don't know what to do with that, and that needs to be honored. The second thing is when they say, "Can we talk?" they really don't want me to do a lot of talking. They're not coming to me for me to solve their problems and put their lives together, which is really a good thing, trust me. I know me. That wouldn't lead to a good outcome. But what they're really asking for is if I'm willing to do some deep and holy listening and just sit with them in love. And even though I don't do that perfectly by any stretch of the imagination, I have found over my years of ministry the gift that if there is some holy listening and just presence and compassion, that somehow what has fallen apart is able to be regathered again by some grace. And sometimes that begins when the person is just able, in a safe place where there's holy listening, to take a few deep grounding breaths for the first time. Or maybe it's after walking and listening to somebody for quite some time that you come to see the truth of the cliche that time really does heal, and is able to help regather what fell apart into things like wisdom and compassion and insight and understanding and growth. In chapter 49 of the book of Genesis, it tells the story of Jacob's death. Now, in the Episcopal Church, a translation of Scripture that is often used is the NRSV version. And in that translation, the text says that after Jacob died, he was gathered again. Now, the text speaks in terms of being gathered together again with all of Jacob's ancestors. But I find that language of being gathered after death to be perplexing in a beautifully holy way. I mean, on one hand, the text acknowledges the disintegration of death, but also then celebrates God's ability to regather what once was so disintegrated. And isn't that the Lenten journey for us? It's an invitation into deeper disintegration, to die daily to ourselves. But it's also a celebration of love's ability to enter into the depths of disintegration and suffering and death on the cross, all so that what had fallen apart could be gathered again and anew by the love and grace of God. And in that we find a holy invitation to pause and pray on our Lenten journeys, to reflect on how we've come to experience that gift of God, gathering us again after we've fallen apart. And maybe we've experienced that gift through the listening ear and compassionate heart of a dear friend or a priest or a pastor. Or maybe we experience it through the gift of time, which again really does find a way to heal and as a result gather us again after we've fallen apart back into something with a new understanding of growth and life and wisdom and compassion. However it happens, the real gift of Lent is that if we've fallen apart and are broken into so many pieces, that's more than okay with our God. Because just like tacos, we're still loved by a grace that longs to gather us together again. Lenten peace and blessings to you all.